Okay, guys, so now we're going to be beginning our next part of the workshop, actually the last part of the workshop today, which is our first alumni panel. So we have several people that used to do First Tech Challenge, First Robotics Challenge, or both here today. Two of them in person in the auditorium, and then three people online. All of them are very successful, have achieved success in the workplace and internships, and they're going to share how their experience with First has helped them. And you can ask them any questions you want about any advice you would like from one first student to another, or just general questions about life. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our five panelists today, starting with our in-person panelist, Patrick.
Okay. Hi. My name is Patrick Lee. In case you didn't know that, I graduated from Purdue in 2023 in computer engineering. Currently a software engineer at Lockheed Martin in the F-35 program. I did first back in 2017, 2018, so it's been quite a while since I've done that, but it was a pretty big experience for me in my development as an engineer, and I'm very happy to be here.
And our next panelist today is Melody. So Melody can also introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Melody. I was a part of First from second grade all the way until my senior year, and I was also on TechnicBots. I'm currently at UC Berkeley, and I'm double majoring in electrical engineering and computer science, as well as business administration. This summer, I am a technical program manager intern at Tesla. And then last summer, I worked at NVIDIA on the robotics team.
Awesome. And our third panelist today is Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony. I used to be on TechnicBots and currently go to UT Austin. I'm in the Turing Scholars Honors Program and currently interning at NVIDIA.
Our fourth panelist is Austin, who's also in person today.
My name is Austin. I did robotics for I think over a decade in the first program. Currently at Brown University studying applied math and computer science. This summer I was at Symbiotic, which is like a robotics warehouse company based in Boston.
Awesome. And our last panelist online is Max.
Hi y'all, I'm Max. I was also on TechnicBots. I'm currently at Northeastern University in Boston studying data science and math. And I'm also currently interning at Brown Brothers Harriman, which is the oldest and one of the largest private investment firms in the US.
And there's actually one more first alumni who's very important today. He unfortunately wasn't able to join us for this panel, but his name is Phil Krugloff. He is a recent graduate. He goes to school in Illinois, to college in Illinois, and he used to do First Tech Challenge. Immediately after graduating from high school, he founded a startup, Fair Components, which is a vendor for robotics teams. And he is actually providing us with some of our rewards or awards for the drawing today. So everybody make sure to give up for Phil as well. Okay, so without further ado, we can go ahead and get started with the panel. So I'll start off with a moderated portion, and I'll be asking some questions to everybody here today that hopefully will be very insightful for our audience. So I have a question actually for one of our in-person speakers here today, Austin. What do you think is the most important problem-solving skill that First taught you?
One of the most important problem-solving skills at First is learning how to problem solve on the fly. At First robotics, I think things will never go the way you plan to be. Like something about Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And like every time I tournaments, like the robot's gonna fail, wheels are gonna fall off, some set screws are gonna get stuck, and you're gonna have to find ways to overcome those challenges and go on with your game, so be successful and perform the best you can.
So being adaptive as a problem solver is very important. That's very cool. So I have another question for our in-person panelist, Patrick. So you work for Lockheed Martin, which is one of the most important and big defense contractors in the United States. So I'm sure that there's a lot of big deadlines that you have to meet in your work. What skills do you think that you learned in FTC or in FIRST translate, or maybe don't translate over to having to meet deadlines in the workplace?
Yeah, I've been working in the defense industry. You learn a lot about shifting priorities. First, one day, the task you might be working on is like number one priority for that day. But then the next day, something completely, management decides, hey, that's not important anymore. You need to shift gears, start focusing on this other task. And you need to do it right now. And so FTC, it differs from FTC because FTC has specified deadlines. You know exactly when competition is, and if competition ends, you get 1 week extra to work on your robot. So definitely having the ability, as Kosky said, the ability to adapt on the fly is very important in the industry. Something that FTC that my work does line up with the FTC program is that you need the ability to know exactly what the requirements are and to follow up on the requirements as specified by the customer, or in this case, not by the competition.
That's awesome. And I actually have kind of a follow-up question to that. Is there a specific project or task or even obstacle that you ever faced where in the moment you thought, I've done this before, I've solved this before at first?
Fortunately, I cannot comment on any current project I'm working on.
The non-disclosure agreement. Okay. Is there any like potential general things that you think though that like being in FIRST, your experiences there have helped you with your work today?
Definitely helps me with communicating with other people. Working on FIRST, you definitely need to know what other people are working on and what the progress is. I know that on work, I've noticed people slipping up. We assume one problem will be faced in this task when in another task, and so we just write it off, saying, "Hey, it's going to be finished in that task." When in reality, the other person didn't even know he was actually being assigned that work. And so definitely working on FIRST and having that communication is very important.
Awesome. My next question is for one of our online panelists. So Melody, what similarities have you found with both your internships at NVIDIA and Tesla? Like what similarities have you found between the strategies for running FIRST teams and running or operating an actual business?
Yeah, I think at my internship at NVIDIA, there were definitely a lot of similarities because I was on the robotics team, so a lot of similar kind of engineering processes and framework. But I think even more now, I'm a TPM at Tesla, and I think that aligns very well to what I was involved in during my time in FTC. It's very, very similar. So I work with a lot of cross-functional teams, like similarly to what you do in FTC, working with like hardware, software, and CAD teams. And then beyond that, like I think some of the other panelists have mentioned some of those like communication skills, I think lend very well to the industry. In my role, I kind of support our company with bringing products from prototype to production. And as many of you guys know, that's very similar to kind of what you're doing within FTC.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You have like these similarities between FIRST robotics, especially with the sub teams and what you do in your work. My next question is for Max. So, is there a time where you leveraged past experiences working as part of a FIRST team in your internship at Brown Brothers Harriman?
Yeah, I guess really just working with different teams. So in your FTC team, you probably have a hardware team, a software team, but even inside the hardware team, you're working with just like individuals that are working on separate components. And this translates pretty well into I guess like my internship and probably other industries as well, where you're working with your own individual team, but you're also just working on your own projects and coordinating all your meetings and all your projects with your manager and even just your coworkers is something that I learned a lot from FTC.
Thank you. My next question is for Anthony. So are there any ways you would say FIRST Robotics has maybe unexpectedly helped you in your career journey so far?
Yeah. I would say one of the biggest things is that like I've done so many judging sessions in FTC and like FLL, right? I've probably done like over 100. And through that, like I gained a lot of experience in like selling like myself, right? Like I feel like a lot of things in life you're kind of selling something judging, you're selling yourself to the judge. And over like the past few years, I've interviewed for like a lot of companies, right? And fundamentally you're selling like why you're good, right? And through all of this experience, it's really helped me in like all of my job interviews, like the Lance job.
So really the public speaking and presentation aspect, that is definitely unexpected. And I have another question for you actually, Anthony. So you're currently interning for NVIDIA, which is probably one of the biggest players in the AI industry today. This is kind of a broad question, but how do you foresee the technology that you work on at NVIDIA potentially impacting FIRST in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know the current state of like how like technology is in FTC. I assuming like they allow some co-processors. So it'd be interesting to see like if FTC ends up allowing more like co-processors to allow more AI applications. Reinforcement learning is like a really hot field. It's actually like some of what I'm working on at NVIDIA, and I could potentially see people using like more reinforcement learning, like more advanced AI applications in FTC if like compute hardware gets.
Do you foresee that maybe even in the future, the control hub could be fast enough to run like these models natively or potentially even have like a GPU embedded?
I mean that depends on if Rev wants to add like GPU acceleration to the co-processors. I doubt that would happen, like for all control hubs because like unless you need, because like running like these specialized AI models, typically you would want like a dedicated separate co-processor. Otherwise, like integrating a GPU into it is like really efficient. It's not even
Awesome, very insightful. So I have a question now back to one of our in-person speakers, Austin. So you represented the United States at First Global Challenge in Geneva, Switzerland. How did that experience impact the way that you see robotics?
So I think going to Geneva, competing at the international level, you get to see all of these different countries, and you get to see all these teams of people, different people, all competing and sharing their love for robotics. So you see that robotics spans across the entire world, and you see their different perspectives. So different teams will have different approaches to the robots. Some teams have like a bigger robot, some teams have a smaller robot, and you get to talk to these different people. And at the competition, we're just constantly talking to teams from Germany, Ukraine, China, and just learning about their background and learning about why they do robotics.
Do you think you've kind of felt the essence of that experience like in your work life or internship as well?
Yeah, definitely. So at Symbiotic, our robotics company, and like I feel like 90% of the people they're all FIRST alumni. The stuff we do is all related to like FIRST robotics. Our robots are like just giant FRC robots that just fly around and we just tune them to have super low error rates. And so in the workplace, at least in our workplace, you'll see a lot of people that are FIRST alumni, and a lot of my intern friends are also FIRST alumni. So just talking to them and learning about their experiences is really cool.
That's awesome. And I have another question as well for our other in-person panelists. So Patrick, if you could go back and tell yourself when you were doing FIRST robotics in high school, one piece of advice for the future with your perspective that you have now, what would that piece of advice be?
Yeah, don't be afraid to fail. A lot of people, I know growing up that a lot of us are put under pressure to constantly succeed, constantly produce results, that's the best. But the reality is you're not going to be able to know what you're capable of unless you fail at it and then learn from those mistakes. Being open to failure leads to new areas of growth. It's how you grow as a team, it's how you improve your game, how you improve at competitions. So yeah, just don't be afraid.
Really embracing failure.
Exactly. Learning from your mistakes, not just failing, yes.
Okay, so next I have two questions for Melody, which are somewhat related to each other. The first question I have is, you were incredibly active in the FIRST community for many, many years, and you still are today. What do you think is like the best or most special part of being in this community?
Yeah, I think for me, first was definitely one of the most like influential things that I did before college, which kind of led me to want to choose like, my major and like the career that I want to work in. I think beyond that though, first is such like a special community. I know for me, like the people that I did robotics with, like Austin, Max, Anthony, like our kind of generation, we kind of like grew up together. We started together in second grade and we're all very close. Like last night, Anthony and I met up in San Francisco along with another alumni. So I think that has really kept me in the community. And then now I help coach an FTC team that's local to the Bay Area, and that's been really fun as well. I think wanting, like for me, from like a coach's perspective, I really want to give like my team a similar experience to the one that I had. So yeah.
Yeah, and kind of building on like the continued service that you continue to provide for the FIRST community, you were a Dean's List Award winner at the World Championships in 2022, which is an amazing testament to your service to the community. So what advice would you give to students that maybe want to have that same level of impact or also want to help improve robotics in their communities but don't know where to start?
Yeah, I think one kind of common trait among a lot of Dean's List winners is that they have like a really true passion for first that extends beyond kind of just like your average involvement. So even now, a lot of the Dean's List winners, like we meet monthly to discuss like how we can support first and various other initiatives, and they're still super, super involved. So I think kind of that would be like a testament to, your service to like first. So I think that's one thing. And then beyond that, like I think a lot of the Dean's List winners, they have something kind of really specific that they've focused on throughout their time in first, whether that be like on the technical side or I know a lot of Dean's List winners are very focused on like the advocacy side of first. So I think that's like probably another side to it.
Awesome, thank you. Now I have two questions for Max. So first, what intersections do you see between what you did in FIRST Robotics and the data science or applied math that you currently study at Northeastern?
Yeah, so from a data analyst perspective, what I mainly did is using scouting data and using that to make graphs or like comparisons, putting it all in spreadsheets so that our team could find the best partners in tournaments or also just analyze people that we would eventually face in upcoming tournaments. But for a more data science approach, while I didn't directly work on this because I was on the programming team, I think learning PyTorch or TensorFlow is something that a lot of people on these teams can learn, which is super helpful when you get if you're trying to like get a data science degree.
I think that's really interesting, and the fact that through FIRST we are learning all these different things speaks to how amazing that activity is. And my second question for you is kind of along the lines of the previous one. What advice would you give to current FIRST students who are looking to pursue a career in the field that you're studying right now?
Kind of similar to what I said before, but learning PyTorch or TensorFlow or just Python in general is extremely helpful. But even more than that, improving your problem solving skills is probably the number one thing that you can take away from first because you can learn Python or PyTorch in your college curriculum or your school curriculum either way. But first is a pretty unique place where you can really challenge your critical thinking and problem solving skills.
Awesome. I think that's a great note to end on as well, that we've heard this idea of problem solving echoed throughout all of these panels that we've had here today. So it's definitely a very important thing. Okay, so that's going to conclude the moderated portion of our question and answering today. So I'll now open the floor to anybody in the audience that has questions. And just raise your hand and I'll bring the mic to you. And you can ask our panelists here today. All right, so we have one person in the audience.
How do you find like jobs or internships when you're in college?
Actually, go to the events. Often or not, the company, in your school, the company will send out people, recruiters, to hold events in your engineering buildings. In my case, Lockheed sent out their F-35 simulator to our aero building. A friend told me that, and I, out of just pure curiosity, decided to go to the aero building, and it's like, hey, I want to try out the simulator. I waited 1 hour in line for it, and then after the simulator, I asked the people who were working there, "Do you guys have any jobs?" And in the interview, from that, I got an interview from that.
We also have a question online from Jerry Pro, who asks, do you have any specific advice for people considering first robotics-based startups?
Like first, like the kid that graduated in 25, those kind of startups.
Yeah, I think so.
That would have been a great question.
I guess I don't have any direct experience, but like, I remember this like in 2023 or 2024, this guy called like Beer. I think he was a freshman at the time. He just started a startup called like Axon Robotics just to sell servos, which like I know a lot of people do Axon servos. And like, I don't know exactly how it did, but like, he's a freshman, and you just have to have conviction. I mean, you just want to do it. You can just do things like, so my opinion, like if you have an idea, like don't be afraid to pursue it. Like you're young, you have you can take risks, and I think he ended up being pretty successful, like Axon making like maybe not 6 figures, but like close to that. So if you have some sort of startup idea, like I would say you can even try pursuing it in high school if you have enough conviction about the idea.
All right. Do we have any other questions? Or actually, I think Patrick would also like to answer that question.
Just one note that I learned at school. If you make an invention that like if you make a product at your college, there is a chance that your college will and you can patent it. Related to if you want to do a startup, your college can help you with patent. Because it costs about $10,000 to file for a US patent, I think, so they can pay for that. And it'll be in your name, they'll help you. They have a lot of resources to help you out.
Do we have any other questions, either online or in person? We have another in-person question.
Okay, my question is, do you guys have any regrets from when you did first? Like something that you did or didn't? Okay, my question is, have anything that you did?
The question about having regrets about in first.
Yeah.
I think my only regret at first, maybe at least if for our FRC team, I think sometimes because at TAMS we don't have like a coach or anything, so we're all completely student run. So sometimes like the leadership gets a little messy, or like we don't have enough motivation just from our student leaders on the team, and so like a lot of our attendance will drop off later on. So I think just investing more of our time into like outreach and trying to gain more interest in the club is super helpful, because we started the year off with probably like 50 kids and we ended the year off with probably like 20 or 10 kids who really like it, and it's super hard to do that and compete on a high level, especially because it's FRC and it's a lot more expensive.
All right, do we have any other in-person or online questions? Yes, we have another in-person question.
Is there one specific memory that you had from doing first that you still remember today? Like any lessons that you learned from it that you carry into your career or just apply to your personal life?
I take this one. When we just started FTC, I think back in like middle school or like ninth grade, I think we went to our first competition. And like midway through the competition, one of the wheels fell off the robot. And so that was super depressing then, because it's like a super easy thing just to have your wheels on your robot. And I think the lesson learned from that is like I said before, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. You just gonna have to adapt to it. Pretty sure at that competition one day, after that wheels falling off, you still have to try your best to help your team, even though you can't move in a straight line, you can't turn, you can't do anything. But you can at least still try and help and win. So I think that's like the main thing, is still try. And like Patrick said, not be afraid of failure and just be persistent. That's like the biggest thing I think first can teach.
All right, do we have any other questions? Yes? Another question?
I think for the first program, I built a very healthy relationship with my kid. But that's only from my perspective. I really want to know what on your end. What do you think you did a great job, or what kind of support you want your parents to do if you were in the, I think in the middle school or high school for your role experience? Thank you.
Like the questions like, what would you want your parents to give you for a lot of experience in middle school and high school?
Yeah.
Okay, I can kind of take this question.
I refuse to take it.
Yeah, you can think.
I have a lot of things to say about parents and their being involved, but probably if you want to take this.
Yeah, so for me, I guess it's different for my case. My mom was the coach of my team, so I think that was a lot of super helpful like mentorship to have throughout middle school and high school. She taught me like all the ways, all the tricks, and I got really familiar with first. And I think I really enjoyed that experience. And I think it like, honestly depends on from kid to kid, from parent to parent. So I think if someone else wants to take it like you.
Yeah, for me it was kind of a little bit the opposite. My parents were always pushing me, even though they didn't really know until the time. I found out I usually succeeded a lot when I pushed myself rather than having people push me. Sometimes the kid just kind of needs to have more space to grow and fall down a bit, but they need to pull themselves back up, and then the other is stronger. That's my sense.
Yeah, I'll second this. It's like thread of ideas, and I'll say like some of the most fun and like when I learned the most was when I was just like off pursuing like independent ideas. So really like I don't know, like encourage kids to like explore and pursue their own ideas, maybe like expose them to like interesting ideas. Like one of the projects I learned the most from was just like me doing a side project for fun. It was like autonomously collecting rings and ultimate gold and shooting them. And that was like I learned a lot about like tomography, path planning. Yeah, it was really fun and cool, and I learned a lot. Just give room for curiosity and exploration.
All right, do we have any final questions in person or online?
If not, then I think we can end our alumni panel here. I heard a lot of really great questions, really great answers. I think we learned a lot today from these people that have been walking the same path that we are right now and have this amazing advice for us to follow. So everybody give it up one more time for our alumni panelists in person and online.